world, like smoking, being ignorant, and even serving in the military. A lot of people in today's society, in more liberal parts of the world, like the West, look down on serving in the army because if you do, you are considered as dumb and not smart. Adding to that, people have a negative view on the military industrial complex because they view wars being fought today as only for money and not liberty.
Throughout this presentation, many examples of the book's view have been brought up that are damaging to society and a person's physical well-being, but not their mental state. Early on in the book, when we are first introduced to the characters in the novel, right before the Bulldogs game, a missable but significant example is present that shows this toxic view of masculinity. The nickname Moron that was given to Dean Moran and Nicholas Braw that was given to Nicholas Breyer, as seen on page 17, due to their imperfections in masculinity. Being called these nicknames on a regular basis by those around you will greatly affect somebody mentally, as they are constantly being put down by those around them. This is a form of bullying and could possibly lead to many mental issues and insecurities down the line, but bullying and mental illness were rarely acknowledged back in this time the book was set, and throughout the present day, the problems that these things created are still seen and heard about. Also, in the present, Western society puts a mental well-being as a number one priority, and rightfully so, as having such problems can greatly damage a person and those around them. These examples show how in the long run, these ranks of masculinity can affect a person negatively, which is why they're so significant.
In-text citations by Daniel, page 60, citation number 1, Hugo pressured into smoking a cigarette.
Grant Birch offers Hugo a cigarette. Hugo is forced to say yes because it would damage the impression he had made to everyone if he said no. This example from the text supports the topic of masculinity because Hugo is somewhat forced into needing to smoke a cigarette with Grant Birch due to the impression he had made from showing how good he was at an arcade game. In order to not destroy the reputation he made for himself, Hugo smokes a cigarette because everyone else considers it masculine. This is a bad influence on Hugo because now he feels the need to smoke to be considered a man, because he doesn't want to lose his standing in the ranks of the boys, and now he will go down a path of being addicted to cigarettes which will ultimately kill him in the end. And he does it for what? For what? He does it so that he can fit in as a man in the standards of his society and what it means, and feel that he fits what it means to be masculine inside today's society. This isn't evident in modern day because cigarettes are now proven to be bad for your health, and if you're young and you smoke them, you're obviously considered an idiot. However, sometimes we do run into the same problem with vaping in our day and age, as it is considered to be cool to vape. But often, you don't see people being peer pressured into doing it, as it is still proven to be bad for you. And this is good because now kids are being healthier, and it's not considered cool to do something that is ultimately bad for you.
However, apart from the smoking and vaping part of this example, peer pressuring does still exist inside today's society. However, in today's day and age, kids are now taught to learn how to say no when they don't want to do something that is especially bad for them. This makes this situation not evident because Hugo felt the need to say yes to smoking with Grant Birch even though he didn't want to do it. But in today's day and age, he would probably say no because he'd be better equipped to doing that. In text citation number 2, page 195, Jason is at the movies with his mom.
On page 195, we see Jason being concerned about being seen at the movies with his mom. Jason is scared because he knows that if he is seen with being out with his mom, he will be made fun of because it isn't considered masculine. So, by being with his mom, he is figuratively asking to be picked on. This is an example from the text supports the topic of masculinity because Jason is literally scared to be seen outside with his mother at the movie theater. He is scared because if he is seen, he knows his reputation will be destroyed because going out with your mom is considered not masculine. Among the boys in the book, this is an example of toxic masculinity because Jason is scared of something that he should be able to enjoy, such as free time being spent with his mom. This is a bad influence because since the culture of toxic masculinity says you shouldn't hang out with your mom, Jason becomes anxious because he's simply spending time with his mom. This is bad because you shouldn't be scared of being seen with your family, and it has a bad effect on Jason and his mental state because he is now anxious all the time for when he's out with his parents for absolutely no good reason. I believe that it's still kind of evident in today's society because now as boys grow older and they become teenagers, it's not very cool to hang out with your mom and spend time with your loved ones. as you can get picked on for something so little as going to a movie with your mom, and it truly is sad because it has a negative effect on boys' mental health around the world, and it makes them anxious
For something as simple as going out with a loved one, this speaks on the issue that the boys constantly feel the need to carry around and uphold the characteristics of being masculine. So much that the boys in the book are frightened when they show a sign of weakness, which leads towards anxiety, which can wear you down over time. And this part of the in-text citation connects to today's society because it shows that over time, trying to uphold these standards of toxic masculinity can affect you mentally, and that you really shouldn't be scared of who you are and should not be scared to show who you are. How do our examples and our view of the topic help us understand the book and its message? Our view of masculinity is that it's used throughout the book to bring out the issues in Jason's society and our own, such as that masculinity can cause people to change how they act for the purpose of being popular, like Jason's situation, by putting on a fake persona and hiding who they truly are. Even in our own world, people who aren't considered masculine enough can be frowned upon for being who they truly are. Our view connects to the world today in some aspects as it shows us and helps us understand how masculinity is something that can affect people, not just men, in negative ways. And even though we've taken massive steps in the right direction over the last little bit, it's still problematic. In Black Swan Green, this can be proven through Jason's alias name that he uses when he's writing poetry. Jason's alias name that he uses symbolizes the effect toxic masculinity can have someone in today's society. The author uses the story to show the boys that it's okay to be who you are and that it's not okay to shame people for being different, such as the other boys in the book to Jason and his friends. This becomes toxic masculinity, as masculinity is fine on its own, but the idea that everyone should adhere to standards of being male is when it becomes problematic or toxic. The use of masculinity in the book helps us and the other readers understand why Jason and the characters act the way they do, because they feel the need to constantly prove themselves because they use masculinity to determine where they stand in their own society. The quote, "It's all ranks, being a boy like the army," from Jason shows us that they truly believe that in their society someone can be considered better because he's more masculine than another person. This view or thought process is so politically incorrect, and it makes Jason and the other kids feel bad about themselves because they don't fit the standards of being a man in their society. Jason's fake name / life that he uses while writing poetry is an example of how people should be treated for taking pride in what they do inside our society and his own. No one should be penalized for being who they are, and they should be proud of what they do, masculine or not. This is used by the author to show that no two people are the same, and that we can't just judge someone for being who they are. The meaning of the book is to show us what issues toxic masculinity brings to our society, and that we should stop living and adhering to these standards, and the world would become a much better place and more positive if we did this.